Blood, sex, gore, and magic. Well, not so much the sex part, but it seems like the DC Universe is catering all of its animated films specifically to me. I should probably get that on a shirt. Blood, sex, gore, and magic. So Justice League Apokolips War is the latest movie coming out of the DC animated universe, and it is slated to be the last movie in the DC animated universe that is supposed to take place in this new 52 animated universe that they've been doing for, I believe, the last 15 or so movies. And really quick, if you don't know what the new 52 is, New 52 is the name that they gave the complete reboot of the DC Comics universe. They took all of the 80 plus years of DC continuity and storylines, and they essentially rebooted it and made all the characters from Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, they made them younger, and they essentially said that they've only been active as superheroes for the last 5 years. And so a lot of the storylines and continuity that you knew before is now irrelevant, and you're starting fresh with the New 52. For whatever reason, that excluded Batman, so everything that you knew before New 52 with Batman's storyline, that stayed in effect. So you were supposed to believe that Batman was active as Batman, he had several Robins, he had the death of Jason Todd, and he was able to give birth to a kid that's now a teenager all in the span of 5 years. Didn't make any sense, but whatever. And so the new animated universe that they had in these movies reflected the storylines from the New 52, while still trying to incorporate storylines from the past universe. It didn't make any sense. But anyway, and recently in the comics, DC did what was called DC Rebirth, where they basically got rid of the New 52 and brought back a lot of the old continuity, because most DC Comics fans didn't really like New 52. And so, considering that the New 52 universe is now abolished, it didn't really make sense for them to continue this universe in the animated universe. And so this movie is supposed to be the last hurrah for that New 52 universe. And so Justice League Dark Apokolips War tells the story of after 2 failed attempts to invade Earth, Darkseid finally succeeds in taking over and conquering planet Earth. And so the remaining Justice League regroup to take on Darkseid once and for all and finally save Earth. And with this movie, consider this movie is called Justice League Dark, and if you don't know, Justice League Dark is considered the magical side of the Justice League team, where you have Constantine, Zatanna, you have the Demon Etrigan, Swamp Thing, Madame Xanadu, sometimes Dr. Fate, and a whole bunch of other magical members that form their own Justice League. And despite this movie being called that, I feel like this movie was less a Justice League Dark and more of a Constantine movie featuring the Justice League. And not even so much the Justice League Dark. Yes, there were characters from Justice League Dark in this movie, but considering this movie is called Justice League Dark, they didn't really play that much of a role. It was mostly the main Justice League characters, and almost in a kind of Captain America Civil War kind of way, where even though the Avengers were in the movie and they played a pretty prominent role, it was still ultimately a Captain America movie. I kind of feel like that's what this movie was for Constantine. The Justice League were in it and they played a pretty prominent role. Ultimately, I feel like it was Constantine's story. Ultimately, Constantine was the one that drove the narrative. But with that said though, this movie was great. Like I mentioned in my opener, like this movie had the blood, gore, and magic right up my alley. I keep saying time and time again that the things that I love in my fantasy are blood, sex, gore, and magic. And like I said, this movie didn't really have much sex, but it had plenty of gore, plenty of blood, and plenty of magic, because Justice League Dark and Constantine and Zatanna. And the thing about these New 52 set of movies, like the animation has always been pretty damn good in these movies. That's never been a complaint of mine. I definitely feel like they kicked up the animation quality for this movie. Like, I don't think any of the Justice League movies have ever looked better than this particular movie. Like, it looked great. And I really like this route that they've been taking with these movies lately, going into the whole blood, sex, or magic. Like, more times out of not, like, people usually think because a show is a cartoon, it's usually made for kids. But lately, I feel like ever since the Suicide Squad Hell to Pay movie, they haven't been afraid to go rated R with these DC animated movies, and I love them for that, because certain characters require you to be rated R. Not every character is a PG-13 type of character. For example, John Constantine is not a PG-13 character, and his world is not a PG-13 world. Suicide Squad are not PG-13 characters, and I love them for pretty much going rated R for this movie. Like, this movie was called Apokolips War, and they weren't afraid to show the nitty-gritty of the fact that this is a war. And in this movie, of course, you got to see all your faves. You got to see Superpower Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Mera. Being that this movie is a continuation of all the 15 New 52 movies that they had so far, you got to see the Teen Titans, you got to see Damian Wayne, you got to see Raven, you got to see Starfire, Cyborg. This movie was an entire who's who of the DC Universe roster. You even got to see some prominent DC villains in this movie. And this movie, as well as just Matt Ryan's performance, because he was also the voice of Constantine, and Matt Ryan in general, like every time I see Matt Ryan in the role of Constantine, it continues to scream to me that I need there to be a reboot of the Constantine movie, but instead of it going to NBC like the original Constantine movie did, and for him to be thrown into Legends of Tomorrow, which I don't even watch that show anymore, Constantine needs to get his own show, and it needs to go on cable so the character can be rated R and so the character can be done justice, unlike he was in the NBC show. Like, there just needs to be another Constantine show. Like, I love this character and I love what Matt Ryan brings to this character, and I want Constantine to be done justice. Like, I just love that character. Like, again, his world is everything I love in my fantasy: blood, sex, gore, and magic. And then of course you have one of the most prominent bisexual characters in all of comics. But the only thing about that though is I'm like, is Constantine really bisexual or is he pansexual? Because he dates humans, demons, men, women, and all things in between. But whatever, this isn't a sexuality discussion, but I'm also kind of glad they threw a nod to that in this movie where they reference that he is sexually fluid, which is canon to the comics, which is something his NBC show ignored, which I wasn't a fan of. But anyway, yeah, just overall, I really enjoyed this movie. Like, I feel like for this to be the final movie, they just went completely balls to the wall. It was needed. I loved it. And it was a great way to go out. Like, for the most part, I haven't been that much of a fan of these New 52 movies. Like, there have been some that I really enjoyed. Like, of course, the movie that started this whole New 52 universe, Flashpoint Paradox. Like, that's my favorite of all the movies. My second favorite would be Suicide Squad, Hell to Pay. I like Batman, Bad Blood. Throne of Atlantis was okay. Death of Superman. And of course, I really like the two Constantine movies that came out. But prior to them doing the New 52 movies, I feel like the DC animated universe were on an unbeatable streak when it came to their animated movies. And DC is definitely winning the race against Marvel. Like, the Marvel animated movies, which they don't really come out with that many of them, which I don't understand why, but when they do come out, they're not that good. And again, that's kind of how I felt about these New 52 DC movies. But Apokolips War, because they ended it so strongly, it made me appreciate all of these New 52 movies a little bit more. Now, with that said, of course, no movie's perfect. This movie isn't perfect. But I will say, there's something that they took back with a particular character that I wasn't really a fan of. And it makes me say to myself, like, what is DC's obsession with Damian Wayne? Like, I don't understand why they love Damian Wayne so much. Like, I don't hate Damian Wayne, but he's not one of my favorite characters. And I understand that he's the son of Batman, but I'm just like, they keep giving Damian Wayne so much screen time over all the other Robins, and it annoys me, especially as a person who's, my favorite Robin has always been Tim Drake. And the fact that ever since they introduced Damian, Tim Drake has been essentially MIA in both the comics and these New 52 movies. And I hate that, because Tim Drake is a great character, and Tim Drake deserves more spotlight, especially considering how beloved he is by the fan base before the introduction of Damian. Overall, I really enjoyed the movie, and I'm excited to see where they go forward in this new rebooted universe of the DC animated universe. So overall, I would say Justice League Dark Apokolips War is a very high hit. Also, side note, I'm surprised at it, but this movie definitely made me more of a fan of King Shark. But anyway, have you guys seen Justice League Dark Apokolips War? What did you think about it? Are you a fan of Damian Wayne? God, I hope not. Let me know down in the comment section below. Also, if you can't hit that thumbs up button and like this video, it'll really help out the channel. And if this is your first time checking out one of my videos, please check out the other videos on my channel. And if you like what you see, please subscribe for more and hit that bell notification button so you're alerted every single time I post a new video. And tell your friends, families, and neighbors about my channel to help me continue to grow. And as always, I'll catch you guys next time. See you in the new universe.